They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they want to
hand for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Hello viewers, welcome to yet another edition of your must-watch program, Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. My name is Murna Barnabas Atiai. Professional bodies are organizations that are dedicated to the advancement of the knowledge and practices of particular professions through developing, supporting, regulating, and promoting professional standards for technical and ethical competence. In our society today, professional bodies play vital roles in the fight against corruption because corruption poses a serious threat to economic growth, retards development, and undermines the rule of law. It is therefore important for them to join in the fight against corruption. Our focus today is on the important role professional bodies play in the fight against corruption. We shall, on today's edition, continue with the segment on Know the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. We also have anti-corruption stories from around the world and other exciting segments. In the meantime, Ruth Awadi is standing by with latest happenings in the anti-corruption fight.
Welcome to this segment. I am Ruth Awadi. ICPC Chairman Mr. Ekpo Unta has said that apart from those who are criminally negligent or foolhardy, most of the persons investigated by the Commission have a common strain running through them. They are generally ethically deficit and morally bankrupt and had manifested some of these attributes even as teenagers in school or at home. Mr. Unta made this declaration at a convocation lecture he delivered at the Achievers University, Owo, Ondo State, with the title, Ethical Deficit, Corruption and Crisis of National Identity, Integrity of Termites. The ICPC boss further said that the Commission and other anti-corruption agencies in the country could not curb the menace of corruption in the country on their own. He therefore solicited the support of the members of the public in combating corruption, stressing that the federal government will only succeed if the masses supported it.
In the words of President Muhammad Buhari, if we do not kill corruption, corruption will kill us. While thinking out what I should entitle this publication lecture, my mind kept going to the termite. We all know that the termite is such a small, harmless-looking insect. Yet, they are the nightmare of any house owner, as they can bring down the roof of your house if you don't respect them, and provide radical and sustainable prevention processes where they will exist with you. Termites are so well adapted and have been in existence for over 120 million years. They have generally survived all attempts to eradicate them using pesticides, insecticides, and other means. Builders routinely use steel struts or hardly treated wood with solidum as roof members. To survive, the wood termite feeds tenaciously on its host so long as they are wooden. Wooden floors, doors, furniture, until it destroys or defaces the host medium. When the host is destroyed, the termite self-destructs or moves on to a new host. Is Nigeria's corruption problem like a termite infestation? Having taken root, it has defied all known processes to eliminate it, doggedly eating off our roof and compromising the foundation of our institutions.
The ICPC boss further said that the Commission and other anti-corruption agencies in the country could not curb the menace of corruption in the country on their own. He therefore solicited the support of members of the public in combating corruption, stressing that the federal government would only succeed if the masses supported it. In his remarks, the Pro-Chancellor of the University, Honorable Bode Ayorinde, promised that the management of the institution would set up an ICPC anti-corruption club to further entrench discipline in the institution.
Every opportunity you have to learn, volunteer the time. And when we hold our lectures, what is the lecture? We hold on Wednesdays. The APC lecture, not political party. Achievers personality concept. We should please inculcate this positive attitude in our students. Punctuality at public functions, presence at public functions, respect for constituted authorities, because the academic qualification can give you an opportunity, but it is your character that will make you to maintain the job and go higher in that opportunity. I want to appreciate you, sir, for finding time to come. I don't have any doubt in my mind as to the quality of the lecture. And I want to also plead with members of the audience to give another round of applause for the lecturer of today. We appreciate you. And we hope you will also come to Achievers University to inaugurate the Anti-Corruption Club.
The Honorable Justice Salisu Garba of FCT High Court 2, sitting in Maitama, Abuja, has ordered that one Mr. Oluwole Faiga, an employee of the Federal Ministry of Health, be remanded in Kuje prison for evading trial. The order was premised on an oral application made by the counsel to ICPC for revocation of a bail that had been granted to the accused because he had jumped bail twice. Mr. Faiga was earlier granted an administrative bail by ICPC but disappeared into thin air until the Commission's investigators rearrested him somewhere in Remo, Ogun State. Thereafter, he was arraigned in court but could not meet up the conditions of the court's bail as spelled out by the judge and was remanded in prison custody. Subsequently, his counsel applied for a variation of the bail conditions, which was then granted by the court. The accused and his counsel, however, refused to appear in court on 2 occasions, sending letters only on the morning of the adjourned dates, claiming to be bereaved. In view of his apparent disregard for the court, ICPC's counsel made an oral application for the revocation of the accused person's bail, which the judge graciously granted and issued a bench warrant for his arrest before the case was adjourned to a later date. Mr. Faiga had earlier been arraigned by the Commission for criminal conspiracy, fraud, forgery, false representation, and abuse of office, thereby violating Sections 12, 16, and 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. He was alleged to have conspired with others who impersonated some members of staff of the Federal Ministry of Health and fraudulently obtained loans with forged documents from Messrs. Credit Direct Limited, a subsidiary of First City Group, thereby defrauding the company to the tune of 2,968,000 naira.
The United Kingdom Parliament recently passed the Unexplained Wealth Orders, an important provision of the Criminal Finance Bill that introduces a powerful new weapon into the anti-corruption arsenal. The provision specifically targets red flag situations where a person buying expensive items like property or jewels doesn't appear to be wealthy enough to make the purchase. It could be a politician or a small business owner from any part of the world who buys a multi-million-pound property in central London. If the person has links to serious crimes or access to public money, then the authorities can act. The UK law enforcement agencies can now use an unexplained wealth order to investigate the source of that money, and if it is found to be corrupt money, it is easily returned to those from whom it was stolen. This is something that Transparency International UK and other anti-corruption groups in the UK have been working hard to bring about, since the UK has been identified as one of the key destinations for corrupt money. In March 2017, Transparency International Research identified London properties worth a total of £4.2 billion that were bought by individuals with suspicious wealth. Anti-corruption activists came together to push for this landmark resolution and won the support of members of parliament across the political spectrum.
The person whose picture appears on the screen, Mr. Sunday Akintola, is hereby declared wanted by ICPC in connection with issues bordering on fraud. Mr. Akintola, an indigene of Mushin local government area of Lagos State, is dark in complexion and speaks English and Yoruba fluently. He is currently the Managing Director, Sovereign Microfinance Bank. His last known address was number 45 Isolo Road, Mushin, Lagos. Anyone who has useful information on his whereabouts should report to ICPC Headquarters, Abuja, or any of our ICPC zonal and state offices, or call ICPC toll-free lines that will be displayed on the screen at the end of the program. That's all on this segment.
Professional bodies such as the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors, National Institute of Town Planners, Nigeria Bar Association, etc., are expected to regulate the activities of their members to ensure that they adhere to best practices and uphold integrity for their own good and that of the society in general. This week, we went round town to speak with some professional bodies about the rules guiding their profession. Can they pass the integrity test? Are they abiding by the ethics of their professions?
Yes.
Who is a quantity surveyor?
A quantity surveyor is a construction estimator on preparing bid and also preparing valuations. And I think that's the major work. And also sometimes he acts as an arbitrator where there are challenges between the client and the contractor. He comes in so that to be able to at least settle whatever disputes that could arise even in between them. That's the major work of quantity surveyor.
Okay, do you have any code of ethics that guides your work?
We have code of ethics that guide us, and some of those code of ethics is at least we must be faithful and we must be sincere.
The body punishes people caught in corrupt practices, but the society are not helping matters because we have efficient materials like Nigerian materials. If you come to wiring, we have Nigerian wire that is even better than outside wire, country wire. But you see, because of the prevalent problem in the country, people tend to use quack more than the professionals. Why? Because the professional will tell you what they need in doing this job. Because of the cost implication, they will tend to say, your price or whatever is too much. They will go to the lower side of it, where they will be cheat. You know, people will quote, then getting to the market, they will buy the lower price materials to come and use for the job. So if such people, you hear about building collapse, those people that use inefficient or substandard materials to do, they are not let go. The body get them, they punish them. Some of them, they will seize their licenses.
We have code of ethics, and we have our motto, integrity and accountability. So it's our watchword. Anything a professional accountant from ICANN does, he respects that ethics of integrity and accountability. As an accountant, you don't initiate, you only process. You process what have been initiated and approved. So it will be wrong for somebody to say an accountant is in the hub of corruption. However, an accountant will be able to know whether a transaction has an element of corruption in it by going through the documents, by seeing what is substance in this payment. When the substance is not established, he could be able to query it. And
I'm an engineer by profession.
Okay, what professional body do you belong to?
I belong to the Council for Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, which is known as COREN. The most known or the most insensate known practice that is a problem in the profession is the issue of quack engineers, and this has been addressed by the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria to try and sanction those erring engineers or those that are in collaboration with contractors to supply substandard materials, which is the main issue of collapsing buildings or bridges or other such infrastructures. You see, as a developing nation, Nigeria usually appropriates substantial part of its budget into engineering projects, which include roads, bridges, drains, buildings, and other such developmental projects that are necessary for a developing nation such as ours. A lot of money have been expended in the last 40 years, amounting to over $400 billion. So we cannot rule out the erring registered engineers, but the blame falls on us, even if others are engaged in these corrupt practices.
Okay, does your professional ethics speak against or speak to such?
Oh yes, oh yes, definitely. COREN has partnered with a lot of anti-graft and anti-corruption agencies to try and fish out quack or unqualified engineering, trying to get engineering projects. So even those that go as far as presenting fake COREN membership are being sanctioned, and those erring engineers too are being sanctioned.
Training and retraining of nurses on current trends on patient care. Then the training can also be on attitudinal change, then communication skills. Then there is accountability. In nursing, there is something we call handing over and taking over, then reporting system. You know, on that reporting system, you account for what you've done for a particular patient. I think doing that, you are trying to curb corruption. When a nurse knows that you have to account for any procedure you did for a patient, a particular patient, you you'll be conscious. You'll be conscious to do what you're supposed to do for that patient. Then reward system. There is reward system. When everyone knows that whatever good deed you do for a particular patient, at the end of the year, or there will be reward for the best nurse of the year, then everybody work hard to put in their best.
If corruption is dealt with, then Nigeria will be a better place for you and I. And the only way I was able to do that was that art is known to be beautiful works, creative works that is always attention calling and attractive. So, and it's a way of life that cuts across languages and breaks barrier. Everybody understands artwork. So the language that everybody understands will be the best option as a medium to be used to fight against this corruption. And that's what I have done using art. Take for instance this work. I use it to represent the state of the nation, Nigeria. Nigeria is known to be the giant of Africa. So I use this work now representing the nation of Nigeria. This is the giant tree representing Nigeria. And this is the corruption that has eaten deep into the bones and marrow of the tree. And if nothing is done about this, definitely, as small as it is, it can bring down the great tree. And that's why, for many that understand that concept, will agree with me that we have a lot to do with what we have in us to deal with the situation at hand.
I belong to Nigeria Bar Association.
Okay, sir. What are the corrupt practices that are inherent in your profession?
Well, certain issues that come up sometimes is this issue of management of clients' money. When a lawyer is giving a property to marriage, sometimes these issues of not properly accounting for the money will come up. Some other issues that we battle with has to do with some people who are not even members of the profession coming in to act as one. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Does your professional ethics speak to these acts of corruption?
Yes, very seriously. On the issue of mismanagement of client funds, a lawyer is supposed to open a client account so that whenever a client he receives money on behalf of a client, it's paid into the client account, which thereafter transferred to the client, and for proper accountability. He was supposed to pay money to his private account. And whenever a lawyer misbehaves, such lawyer is reported to disciplinary committee of NBA, who takes up the matter and deal with the issue accordingly. Then on the issue of quackery, those that are not in the profession, for somebody to practice as a lawyer in Nigeria, must have attended the mandatory 1 year in law school and passed the bar exam and court to bar before you can practice as a lawyer in Nigeria. Some people who have taken advantage of certain situations came into the profession unqualified, and having noticed that, the NBA took steps to curtail such issues and introduced the use of seal on every process that is filed by a lawyer. So the seal contains the name and the Supreme Court number of the lawyer. So without such seal, the process will not be accepted for filing in court.
The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) sees, hears and feels no corruption. Nigerians say no to corruption by reporting any case of bribery or fraud to the ICPC for investigation and prosecution. ICPC will catch up with you anytime, anywhere, any place. Do not accept or give gratification. Corruption will put you in jail. The ICPC is supported by law to wash Nigeria clean of corruption. ICPC is all over the ministries and schools. Join the anti-corruption crusade in your school or workplace. Your protection is guaranteed. Corruption is a crime against humanity. If you break the law will break you.
Catch up with you. Corruption in Nigeria.
ICPC, committed to a corruption-free Nigeria.
Professional bodies must therefore ensure that they continue to train, educate and support their members to uphold the highest levels of integrity and ethics of their professions. Lawyers, doctors, engineers, accountants, communicators and all other professionals should work towards eradicating this cankerworm in our society. Thank you for all your contributions and comments. Let's see you again same time next week for another exciting edition. Until then, remember to always do the right thing. Bye for now.